Back in high school I was in the Sea Cadets, which was TIFU by getting about 25 US Navy sailors smoked by instructors. Back in high school I was in the Sea Cadets, which was basically junior ROTC but nautical. One of the perks was 2-week summer trainings at bases across the country, got to see different military jobs, ride naval ships during Fleet Week, the whole deal. As a teenager it was genuinely awesome. One of my trainings was in Norfolk, Virginia. We were in a 3-tier barracks, our group on the top floor, an A-school class of actual Navy personnel on the first floor, and the middle floor kept empty as a buffer between us. At the end of the 2 weeks they gave us MREs for the last 2 days. We thought this was the coolest thing ever. We were wrong, those things turned my digestive system into concrete. I didn't feel the consequences until the final morning, when we'd already finished cleaning the barracks spotless for our graduation ceremony. I had approximately 48 hours of MRE backup demanding immediate release. Our floor's bathroom was sealed, cleaned and ready for the next group. In a moment of teenage logic, I slipped down to the vacant middle floor. What followed was a biblical event. It was only after the situation concluded that I noticed there was absolutely no toilet paper on an unoccupied floor. Panicking, I used my undershirt. Then I made a catastrophic miscalculation about the flush capacity of military toilets. The courtesy flush worked. The second one did not. In my 16-year-old brain, getting caught flooding a military barracks bathroom with a clogged undershirt was a fate worse than death. So I said nothing, fixed my uniform, walked out and put on a new undershirt. After the ceremony we went back to collect our luggage and the entire first floor A-school class was getting absolutely smoked on the front lawn. Turns out someone had tried to flush an undershirt down a toilet on the restricted middle floor and taken out the plumbing. The instructors were degrading them for being filthy and unsanitary. The whole shebang. I watched in silence, grabbed my gear, and boarded the bus. If you were stationed in Norfolk in the summer of 2005 and got smoked for something you didn't do, I am sorry. You deserved better. Thank you for your service. A few years ago I was watching Inside Out 2 in theaters. I threw gummy worms at a woman for talking and using her phone in the theater. A few years ago I was watching Inside Out 2 in theaters. Sitting in front of me were these 2 women and a young girl, maybe 7 to 8 years old. Throughout the movie they kept talking and the 2 women wouldn't stop using their phones. One of the women used hers on full brightness. It was so incredibly disruptive. I happened to have a pack of gummy worms, but didn't want to waste any full worms on her. So, after realizing at some point I couldn't take it anymore, I bit off half of one worm and threw the other half at her, and didn't miss. She turned around and looked in my direction, but I just kept looking straight at the screen as if nothing happened. But then she still wouldn't stop using her phone. So, a few minutes later, I bit off half of another gummy worm and threw the other half at her. That really got her angry. She turned around, looked right at me and said, "Stop it." Again, I just kept looking at the screen, acting like it wasn't me who threw it. Then she turned to the woman and little girl and said, "He's throwing gummy worms at me." The 3 of them turned around to look at me, then looked around to see who else could have thrown it. They continued murmuring to each other, then the little girl pointed at me, "At least I think it was me," and said, "Well, it definitely wasn't that guy." The 3 of them turned back around to watch the movie, and the woman finally dimmed her phone, and eventually stopped using it several minutes later. They also shut up for the rest of the movie. The woman also left for a few minutes, presumably to tell the staff on me, but nothing came of it. So for future reference, if you ever see someone talking/using their phone in a movie theater, just throw popcorn or candy at them. They won't know who did it, winky face. Much to her chagrin I am a chatterbox. TIFU by telling a stranger his triceps looked yummy. I am a 35M, happily married to a woman with 2 kids. Much to her chagrin I am a chatterbox. I love chatting with strangers, getting a piece of their story and making a new friend. I've been going to my local gym for 5+ years, it's a fairly close community so I know most people that go there, especially the 5 to 7 a.m. crowd. Well, last week there was a new guy there in the morning, around my age, that I'd never seen there before. So in true me fashion I strike up a conversation introducing myself, getting his name, talking about our workouts etc. etc. Super nice guy, fun conversation until I finish off with, "Well, it was good chatting, sure we'll see each other again. Keep working on those triceps, they look yummy." I have never used yummy to describe anything. Not to mention just a weird thing to say to anyone IMO. He gave me the most WTF look I've ever received. I get all flustered, apologize, say not sure why I said that. Went to the other side of the gym and finished my workout hoping to God he doesn't need to come to my side. I do public speaking for a living. I rarely get flustered. I've been thinking about it for 3 days and want to find a new gym. Preface: I am a developer for a company that provides engineering services. Force me to use your AI customer service chatbot? Enjoy your excessive bill. Preface: I am a developer for a company that provides engineering services and manufacturing/industrial supplies for businesses. We are often purchase goods from a supplier and ship them directly out of that manufacturer's location. It's called drop shipping. Slightly important to the MC. About 2 years ago, a vendor completed a merger with another company and provided us with a list of operational changes, of which was a list of shipping zones. When we made an order, we would get free shipping based on the total amount of the purchase. Different zones, different thresholds to get the free shipping. We got these zones in an email and they were available on the vendor's website. I implemented some code that would calculate our users' checkouts online and give them free shipping when they hit those marks. There was much rejoicing. Nothing gold can stay, as they say. We received an order that met the threshold, but when we placed the order, we were charged over $500 for the shipping to the ass end of the US. Naturally, I assumed the shipping zones must have been updated, as this is the first issue in over 2 years. I reach out to our sales rep with the vendor and explain the situation, requesting for the most recent shipping zones so I can compare them to what we have on file. Mentioned the email with the shipping zones goes to 404s and their website no longer displays them. Was not prepared for, we don't have that information available anymore. You have to ask our AI chatbot on our website for each zip code. I'm a little confused. It's a huge incentive that helps even out in a very competitive market. I emphasize this in my response. It just helps us sell their products better. I'm also reasonably sure that it's as easy as exporting a MySQL table, maybe a query for 2. Sorry, you'll just have to ask the chatbot. Bet. So I spend about 30 minutes probing the chatbot and I realize it's not appropriately safeguarded. There are no limits to how much I can interact with it. It won't give me a list outright, but I can give it up to 10 zip codes at a time and it will respond with a list of rates accurately. Awesome. So I write a tamper monkey script to run in browser that feeds it a list of zip codes, 10 at a time, and appends them to a CSV file. Do you know how many zip codes are in the continental US? Apparently about 33,000. After some attempts at fine-tuning, it amounted to about 4,000 individual chatbot prompts. I know it is only querying their local database for the rates, but it still costs tokens for their chatbot to interpret the prompts. Instead of spending 5 to 10 minutes to procure some data that is mutually beneficial, I ended up running up their AI bill. I feel bad for the environmental impact, but I feel like it's the same disparity with individual consumers burning fossil fuels versus corporations. Maybe they'll provide customer service now, instead of foisting the responsibility on a chatbot. I used to travel a lot and always booked an aisle seat. Your seat? This happened to me back in the early 2000s. I used to travel a lot and always booked an aisle seat. This very large man had the middle seat next to me. He said his travel department messed up and didn't give him an aisle, and I needed to switch with him. He was a large man, and I'm sure he really did need the aisle more than me. Thing was, he was a true bastard about it. Had he asked nicely, I would have gladly switched with him. He was blocking the aisle so no one could get past him, so I relented. After I moved, he turned to the crowd behind him and said, "Sorry, I had to wait for this lady to move out of my seat." Your seat? My revenge: every 10 minutes or so, I made him get up so I could get out of my seat. I'd stand in the aisle just a few rows behind my row. Just as he settled back in, I came back and made him get up to let me back in. After he got a drink, time for me to get up. Just as he opened food he brought with him, time for me to get up. Closed his eyes, time for me to get up. I did this the whole 3.5-hour flight. It was obviously really inconvenient for him, because he would have to pick up his things, put the tray up, take off his seatbelt, get out, let me in, they put everything back. I still smile when I think about that. Later that day, I made a coffee and grabbed a mug from. She humiliated new staff. So I got a small victory face with hand over mouth. I worked at a pet supply store where the manager seemed nice enough at first, but quickly revealed herself to be rude, condescending, and fond of embarrassing staff in front of other people. On my first day, she showed me the staff room and told me to help myself to the tea, coffee, and mugs in the cupboard. Later that day, I made a coffee and grabbed a mug from that exact cupboard. Big mistake. She marched into the staff room, saw the mug, and absolutely tore into me. Apparently it was her mug. Somehow I was meant to know this despite it being stored with all the communal mugs and despite her specifically telling me to use the mugs in that cupboard. I apologized, grabbed a different mug, and tried to move on. A few months later, I was sitting in the staff room when a brand new employee made herself a cup of tea and unknowingly grabbed the same mug. Like clockwork, the manager stormed in and started telling her off too. The poor girl looked mortified. She kept apologizing while this grown woman carried on about her precious mug. I was relocating to another store in the city and this happened to be my last day. So after my shift, I took the mug home. Apparently, she spent days storming around angrily trying to find the mug rolling on the floor laughing.